All right, so this video right here looked kind of interesting to me. Actor Timothy Busfield admits to touching child actors playfully. We're gonna react to this. It's on Law and Crime. Let's see. Sidebar.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on making the most craveable chicken finger meals, getting them right every time.
This season, you've got places to go, people to see, and things to do. You may have already gotten vaccinated for flu and COVID-19, but other respiratory illnesses are still out there. If you're 50 or older, even if you're healthy, it may be important to help.
They're all
Just trying to make sure the audio was good. Okay, let's go.
lies, and I did not do anything to those little boys, and I'm going to fight it.
Television and film actor Timothy Busfield is now facing child sexual abuse charges tied to horrifying allegations that he inappropriately touched child actors, all while allegedly working right on a TV set. And after days of being sought by police, Timothy Busfield has turned himself in. We're going to break down the latest details in this case that we're learning from an arrest warrant and what authorities say happened behind the scenes. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. By the way, one of the reasons we can follow a story like this is because of the incredible support that we get from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest personal injury law firm. This is a firm with over 1,000 attorneys who've recovered 20. All right, this is a major story because for days, actor Timothy Busfield, you know, the guy that you might know from The West Wing or Field of Dreams, he was wanted by police in New Mexico on disturbing child sexual abuse charges, and his whereabouts were reportedly unknown. Police allege that he touched two 11-year-old boys on the set of the television series The Cleaning Lady while working as a director and executive producer, and that the children were allegedly groomed and even told to call him Uncle Tim. But then you go to January 13th, and this is when Busfield turned himself into authorities in Albuquerque, New Mexico, after a warrant was issued for his arrest. And now he's charged with 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse. And it's all in connection with these allegations. And those accusations are laid out in a newly obtained arrest affidavit. So you have these twin boys who apparently worked with Busfield, again, on the set of The Cleaning Lady. They claim that there was inappropriate touching when you're talking about kids being just 7 and 8 years old. And according to the warrant, Busfield even admitted to police, and we're going to talk about it, that it was, quote, highly likely he had some sort of physical contact with the children, though to be clear, he characterized the interactions as just being playful. But here's Busfield's side. So right before turning himself in, he looks into a camera and...
Where he touched the kids at? What area of the body did he touch the kids at?
Flat out called all of this lies. He insisted upon his innocence in his video statement that was obtained by TMZ.
I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated.
And by the way, you also have Larry Stern, so this is Busfield's lawyer, who said in a statement that was released on January 13th, quote, "This morning, Tim voluntarily appeared before New Mexico authorities after traveling across the country to confront these false and deeply troubling allegations. He is innocent and determined to clear his name." But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a closer look at the latest details inside this newly obtained arrest warrant. We're going to talk about the fallout. We're going to talk about past allegations that Busfield has faced. And by the way, one of the things that he's facing is that his most recent Law & Order SVU episode, that was pulled amid all this controversy. And by the way, his wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, we're going to talk about this as well, has since reportedly scrubbed her social media accounts. And by the way, despite the fallout, she appears to be standing by him. Now, here is what investigators allege happened and
that is her husband.
Why this case has escalated so quickly. So police in Albuquerque claim that the allegations center on twin boys who worked as child actors on the Fox series The Cleaning Lady. And this is where, again, Busfield served as a director and executive producer. We're talking about the series from 2022 to 2025. Now, investigators say that concerns about Busfield's interactions with the children, they surfaced over time and eventually prompted a deeper review of what may have happened on that set. And authorities say the case first came to their attention in late 2024 after a report raised concerns about
Where do the parents be? Why do the parents be so far removed from these type of situations where you don't have eyes on your child the whole time? Like, what's that guy from Nickelodeon? Google. What's that one guy from Nickelodeon and Disney? I can't remember his freaking name, bro. They had a whole documentary on Netflix about this one guy from Nickelodeon. And they say he was like abusive towards children, and they even had like a sex offender worker on one of the sets. I remember one of the guys that Drake Drake and Josh. Cast Drake Parker. No, they said that he was sexually assaulted. He talked about him being assaulted. Known as Drake and Josh revealed in 2024 documentary Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, that he was sexually assaulted as a teenager by his former dialogue coach, Brian Peck. That's the guy's name, Brian Peck. Copy. This fella right here. This is the guy Drake Parker said sexually assaulted him. And apparently, Drake, this fella, where is he at? He would go over the guy's house, and you just leaving anybody with your child. I don't get it. You're leaving anybody with your child.
About possible inappropriate behavior involving the boys. And at that point, investigators claim that the children didn't say there was any kind of sexual contact, and so the case didn't immediately move forward with criminal charges. But here's what happened. Police claim that changed months later when one of the boys allegedly made a disclosure to a counselor and pediatrician that Busfield allegedly touched his private areas. And this was followed by additional reporting that investigators say prompted them to reopen and intensify the case. Now, to be clear, Busfield has denied the wrongdoing, according to court records.
Where you put hands at?
There has been a suggestion that these allegations may be tied to tensions surrounding the children's roles on the show. Yeah, apparently, in an interview with investigators, Busfield had said, and this is, I believe, back in November, that this is just merely about revenge on him because there was a decision that the children wouldn't be brought back for the final season of the show. And that brings us to the legal turning point. There is an arrest warrant.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
That was issued on January 9th. Authorities said they were actively trying to locate Busfield. His whereabouts were apparently unknown. They were even bringing in outside assistance as concerns grew about where he was, when he would surface. And then January 13th, he turns himself in. He reappears, turns himself in at the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Albuquerque. So now that the whereabouts of Timothy Busfield are now known, right, he turned himself in, he's facing these charges, what happens next? To help break us down, I want to bring on a special guest, Marian Bracha, practice professor of law, director of the LLM and Trial Advocacy Program, former child abuse and sex crimes prosecutor. Thank you so much for taking the time. This is an unusual case for a lot of different reasons. I actually want to start with the circumstances of him surrendering. There was a couple of days where they didn't seem to know where he was.
I'm going to always ask, where do the parents be in these type of situations? Yeah, you got a child actor you wouldn't expect. Nobody should. But where do you be at? You just leave your kids alone with them? You know, my grandma told me one time, whenever she was a kid, my grandma, she in her 70s now. She said whenever she was a kid, you used to be able to put like green stickers inside of your home. So like if a kid, if a parent wasn't at home, maybe a kid needs to go somewhere safe, there would be green stickers where the kid can go, and this home would take care of the kid for maybe like a couple of hours, maybe call the authorities. And of course, this would be like somebody in the neighborhood, somebody that the neighborhood would decide on. Of course, you can't do that no more. I mean, ain't no telling who your kid gonna go up to.
Surrenders. What do you think was going on in that period of time?
I think in that period of time, I would assume that he was conferring with counsel, that perhaps he was looking for representation for the criminal case. He was considering his options in terms of the circumstances of a surrender, whether there was a place or a time where he could present himself to subject himself to the warrant, or if other arrangements such as, officers coming or marshals coming to arrest him wherever he was. So I would assume in that time that the logistics were being worked out in terms of his booking.
Is it unusual to see a suspect publicly deny allegations, not in a written statement, but on camera, right? I mean, that was a big moment for him to do that, clearly trying to set the record straight for himself, saying, I'm going to deny these allegations, I'm going to fight it. Was that unusual? Does that affect the case legally? Because you would wonder, whatever he said in that video, could it potentially be used as evidence at a trial?
It could certainly be used as evidence at a trial. Those are the now defendant statements. If he's been charged, he's officially considered a criminal defendant. So the prosecution could use those statements against him. They're not custodial. They weren't interrogation. They were just his voluntary statements. So they could absolutely be used against him. As to the issue of whether it's usual, it's likely not. But keep in mind that this is someone who has access to media. This is someone who has access to cameras, to addressing an audience, to addressing a public. So if this is the medium that he is most comfortable and familiar with, it's not entirely surprising that someone who's facing these charges would I don't want to say take advantage of, but would avail himself of the medium that's available to him and address the public.
So you've seen the reporting on this. We talked a little bit before we came on air about what the affidavit says. What stands out to you about these allegations? I'll go a little bit more through the timeline, but what stands out to you about these allegations? They're highly disturbing, involving young children, but there's kind of, his narrative. I'm going to also talk about an independent investigation. There's who was reporting this, how it was being reported. What stands out to you about this case? How is it different?
Yeah, so I think what does make this case, I'm going to answer a slightly different question first. What makes this case very similar or rather consistent with other child abuse cases that I've seen is that child abuse cases like this and all sexual assault cases, virtually all sexual assault cases, are very difficult to prove because there is very little corroboration. It's not what we call street crimes. It's not like it's something that happens on a street corner or at a bus stop where there are cameras or other witnesses. So crimes of sexual violence or sexual abuse typically happen behind closed doors between known individuals, not in a place where there is great opportunity for witnessing or for the creation of corroboration. So a case like this really does rest on the disclosures made by the two complainants. But I think what makes this unique is the I would call it pretty heavy involvement of the parents. And again, that's not a bad thing. These are parents of two minor children, 10 and 11 years old. They were child actors, but it seems that the parents were heavily involved in the investigation and in the reporting and the disclosure. And I think that is likely something that the defense would want to explore.
Yeah, so let me go through this a little bit. According to the warrant, police first became involved after a doctor at the University of New Mexico Hospital contacted authorities in late 2024, raising concerns about possible sexual abuse involving two child actors. And at that point, officers apparently interviewed the boys, the parents. According to the warrant, there were allegations that while Timothy Busfield grew closer to the twins and allegedly told them to call him Uncle Tim, when they were asked directly if they had been touched in a way that made them uncomfortable at that time, the kids didn't reveal any.
And here's the thing, maybe he is innocent, but these not your children. These not your nephews. These not your cousins. Why even put yourself in a position like this? For what reason? Now you got to defend yourself in this kind of way. He might be innocent. I'm sure he's wealthy. Not to say that somebody would say this and to get some money. I'm sure people have, but you don't want to put that on the parents. You don't want to put that on them children. Let's continue.
Any kind of sexual contact, just that Busfield would allegedly tickle them on their stomach or their legs. So what changed?
Yeah, like for what? For what? These not your kids. These not your nephews. What you sitting there tickling some random person kid on the stomach and on the legs and call me Uncle Tim? The fuck out of here.
What change came next year, 2025. According to the affidavit, in September of 2025, one of the boys apparently told his counselor that Busfield had, quote, touched him on his genitalia and bottom. And that disclosure was then later repeated to a pediatrician and then apparently to police. And investigators say the second child later confirmed that he didn't like being touched, but did not say anything because he didn't want to get in trouble. And the complaint alleges that in both 2024 and the 2025, the interviews, essentially, the boys described the touching as happening multiple times. It was often framed as play, that Busfield will tickle them. And then again, just to reemphasize, the one detail that investigators highlighted repeatedly is how he was positioned on the set, right, in this position of authority and also trying to grow closer to them, Uncle Tim, all that. But there's also this moment involving the boy's mother that investigators say was pivotal because according to the warrant, when she asked her children, or allegedly asked her children in November of 2024, whether anyone had ever touched them inappropriately, there was a response.
Build a website you love
Here we go
with Wix. For your words?
You mean like Uncle Tim? So according to reporting on October 3rd, the mother of these twins filed a police report, contacted CPS, writing her children both disclosed that there was sexual abuse by Timothy from around November 2022 to spring 2024. However, she says she was told nothing would be done about it because it didn't rise to the level of abuse. And then you go to Busfield's interview. So he apparently spoke with detectives. And when asked whether he ever picked up or tickled the boys, Busfield allegedly told police, quote, it was highly likely that he would have because he wanted to create a playful environment. But investigators note that Busfield also acknowledged that physical contact with child actors is not allowed, stating in the interview, it's not allowed at all. There's no protocol. I mean, I'm always around people, right? It would be, in front of the parents. And the warrant includes kind of a broader observation from law enforcement, stating, and this is according to Deadline, pedophiles often infiltrate families under a trusted role, like Timothy, who as a producer exploited the hectic film sets.
Apparently that's
now,
what
I
this
will
guy
also
did
note
as well.
this,
Hold
okay? At one point, there was...
That's the same thing that the documentary said. This guy right here, he befriended the family. This is the guy. This is apparently the mean guy on set, the producer. This was the dialogue coach, befriending the family. Oh yeah, I'm your friend. Let Brian come over. And apparently one of them also abused another kid as well, but he got hired at Disney. After he was let go from Nickelodeon, Disney hired him.
Is an independent outside investigation that was conducted by Warner Brothers to see about this onset allegations of misconduct. There apparently was no corroborating evidence. So this is according to Christina McGovern. I conducted an independent and thorough investigation of all allegations known to the studio at the time. Warner Brothers gave me full discretion as to my investigation. Based on what was alleged and all evidence gathered, including multiple witness statements, I found no corroborating evidence that Mr. Busfield engaged in
understood and somewhat accepted in cases of child sexual abuse, not so in cases of adult sexual abuse, which is probably a topic for a different day. But there are going to be, I would think, a series of pretrial motions where both sides, the prosecution and the defense.
Okay, so this is obviously still extremely new. And I also brought this up just to read an article. Oh, look, there go some of the movies I guess he was in. Yeah. Timothy Busfield dropped by innovative artist as child and sex abuse case moves forward in courts. People.com. I'm trying to look for an article to read. The New York Post. Hopefully, oh shit, yeah, he's in all orange. Let's check this out. Sometimes you got to pay for these articles. Damn. Timothy Busfield dropped by talent agency as he makes his first court appearance in New Mexico child sex abuse case. Dismiss. Oh, you got a little video. And it's loading ad.
We're on the record, FR
Okay, here we go.
273.
You are unlike the rest. And so are we. Discover an experience where no two moments are like
this
the
article
next.
was published not that long ago, today.
Where every detail is intentionally crafted
in New Mexico.
to match your spirit. For a journey worthy of you. The Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection, unlike the rest.
3/20/26, State of New Mexico versus Timothy Busfield.
James Plummer for the state.
Amber Feuerberg on behalf of Mr. Busfield, Your Honor, who appears in MDC custody.
Good afternoon. Mr. Busfield is set for felony first appearance this afternoon. Counsel, have you had an opportunity to advise your client?
Yes, I've had an opportunity to advise my client of the charges against him,
You don't have to travel far for discovery. Cyport Discovery Center in Shreveport has hundreds of hands.
You know, the best thing to do might be to read this article.
The perfect family adventure. Plan your visit today.
Let's see if it goes back. Innovative artist, which is based in Los Angeles and New York, released a 68-year-old actor and director as a client as of Wednesday that on report the agency offered a fair-sized team to represent the West Wing actor during several years with the group, according to the outlet. Might just be what's going on. Okay. The Field of Dreams actor is accused of inappropriately touching one of the boys 3 or 4 times and the other 5 or 6 times, according to the arrest. The arrest warrant filed Friday. A criminal investigation began in 2024 when a physician notified police about suspected sexual abuse after examining one of the children at a University of New Mexico hospital. According to the complaint, attorney Warner Brothers, which produced the cleaning lady, told cops that the prior incident investigation into the allegations found no evidence to support the claim. The complaints alleged Busfield, who was married to a former child star, Melissa Gilbert, turned himself into the Albuquerque Police Department on Tuesday. Busfield was charged 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse. He has denied the allegations. Let's see if we can watch this video again.
U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. The United States should have Greenland as part.
Okay, this ain't even about it. You got CNN going on right there. You know, this video is going on 25 minutes. I guess I'll just go ahead and finish off by saying this. He got himself inside this position. You're a 60-something-year-old man tickling 2 kids that ain't yours. What you tickling them for? It's like the Michael Jackson thing. Nobody really ever really know if Michael Jackson touched them kids. But Michael Jackson was a grown-ass man sleeping in the same bed with small children that were not his. You guys get inside the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. Like, those are not your children. You're a 60-something-year-old man. Like, why are you tickling them? What are you tickling these children for? What's going on? What's so special about tickling these children? What you doing it for? To create a playful environment? There's other ways for adults and children that are not yours to, create a playful environment, I think, without you tickling them. Without you, there ain't no need for that. You got yourself inside that position. And now it looks like you about to have to fight for your freedom. Probably some of your money too. Y'all get inside the comment section below. Let me know what you think about that.